So in this video we are doing a simple tool test, just chipping a chase in a wall. This is engineered brick and it's against the Milwaukee Festool against the Festool HKC. Now one big thing I noticed on picking these two guns up are the triggers. Now pressing on the Festool trigger, it seems like you've got to press the button in quite a bit, obviously to get it to hit. See how many times I'm hitting that and then it starts up? With a Milwaukee, it's instant. As soon as you press that button, the actual bit is turning in the drill. So both of them, holding them in the hands, I found the Festool. I'm a Festool fan. I don't like it. It doesn't feel nice when you're holding it in your hands. When I'm holding the Milwaukee, it feels a better balanced tool. The Festool does feel slightly heavier, but the Milwaukee does feel much better in the hands. Now, when using them just now, obviously to chip this wall out, I've been chipping, I have noticed that it seems that the Festool is a bit underpowered compared to the Milwaukee. The Milwaukee seems to be going through this engineered brick a lot easier than the Festool. So I'll just take a small video now just to show you what the two tools are like in hand and being used. It is going to be noisy, and then you can make the decision for yourself then. So we're just going ahead now with the Milwaukee, and we're just going to do a bit of chipping just to show you. A bit of chipping with the Milwaukee gun now just to show you. I'll just back this camera off slightly so you can see. So what I've done now, I've left the same bit of brick left just to show you the difference. This should chip easy. Right, so this is where I thought the actual Festool was underpowered. Now I was running the 5.2 amp hour battery, and I put on the 8 amp hour battery now, and it seems to perform well. But obviously the Milwaukee is just running on the 5 amp M18 battery, which seems to have just about the same power as the Festool, but you got to run it on the 8 amp hour battery. Now it does seem underpowered with a 5.2. I could be wrong, but it certainly does feel like this tool is well underpowered compared to the Milwaukee when using the 5.2 amp hour battery. Now I'll try and get a bit of video of chipping for you. It is a bit hard in here with the mess and the dust and everything, and see how it goes. Right, so this is on the 8 amp hour battery now. Right, so I'm going to do a better test now with these two. We're going to chip out across here. So I'm on my knees. I'm going to have the same sort of angle, the same sort of pressure. Because working up there was a bit awkward. I couldn't get the right angles. I'm still trying to get used to this gun and the size of it. Because obviously it is bigger than the Milwaukee. Well, it certainly feels like it. I don't know what the overall measurements are, but it does feel bigger than the Milwaukee. Now, I do love this gun. I got to try and get used to the Festool, sadly. But yeah, we'll try them out now. We'll do a chase across here, as I just said, and I'll see what I think about the Festool then. Oop. That's the difference. I'm thinking it sounds louder, but it seems to cut an hell of a lot better. Now I'm using the same bit. I've just showed you the batteries, how much charge is on them. But this Milwaukee gun certainly seems to have more power than the Festool. And I'm sure that they rated the same. It just feels better in the hand to use. I think I prefer this. Maybe the weight of the other one is no good for me. So you're obviously wondering what's my verdict on these two guns. Now you know I'm a Festool fan, I'm also a Milwaukee fan. But what I found is with the Festool, it's slightly more bulkier than the Milwaukee. The Milwaukee seems to feel better in hand, it's got a better grip. It's got a nice curve where the button is by here. So when you've got excessive use and you're pulling on the trigger, you don't feel nothing touching your fingers or digging in. What I found with the Festool, this is quite square by here. When you press on this trigger and fully engage it, your finger is holding on, and it's holding on to this bit of plastic that runs down the side, which is quite sharp, really. It's not going to cut you, but it's certainly going to hurt your fingers over long-term use with that drill. This SDS, I think, is going to start hurting your finger when you're holding on to this button. I don't find this trigger's very responsive either compared to the Milwaukee. Now it's a bigger trigger. It doesn't feel like it's got hardly any grip on it either. The Milwaukee, it's got a nice round curve. You can tuck your finger in there and you can just hold it, and you can do little fine tunings, and it's just a much better grip. With this Festool, it's probably double fingers you use on there while using it. I don't know. Just doesn't seem as good as the Milwaukee, to be honest with you. I bought it. I am going to use it. I'm going to do more testing. Maybe it's something I've got to get used to. But at the moment, I do prefer the Milwaukee. I think it's got slightly more power, feels better in hand, and it seems better weighted. Now the Festool, it seems heavy on this front end. Great if you're standing and you're doing floor work and everything. I think it makes it a little bit more awkward when you're trying to do work at waist height because it wants to tip forward. But yeah, cut a long story short, the Milwaukee's a winner for me. So in this conclusion to this video now, the big thing for me on this has been the actual trigger. Now when pulling this trigger, see this bit of plastic up here? Right up in there? That keeps catching my finger, right? Keeps jamming up in there when I'm putting my two fingers on the gun, and that's really winding me up, and there is hardly no grip on this button, so your fingers keep sliding around while in use. They keep slipping around here, and there's a line of plastic down here. Now on this plastic, it's not sharp, but it's digging into my hands when I'm holding on to the gun, and it's starting to wind me up a bit. So I'm not a fan of this trigger on this gun, and it's not that responsive. Now let's have a look at the Milwaukee and I'll just show you the differences. So the difference on the Milwaukee is you've got a curved button, and you've also got a curved side that runs down here. So when you're using this in excessive use, the grip around the back then on the trigger here, it's not hurting your hands. You can use it one finger. It doesn't matter if it catches you up here, look where this is, because this is nice and smooth as well. It just seems a much better trigger on the Milwaukee gun. Cut a long story short, like I said, I'm going to use this, but it needs improvement. End of. So if someone's watching from Festool, maybe they can say, have I got a dodgy gun? Is this supposed to be cleaned up better? Does it need to be returned? I don't know. But it's not as good as the Milwaukee on the trigger.